Hello and welcome to the March 2020 Sunshine Summit. My name is Heather and I am your host. This week, in association with Geeks Rising, we are bringing to you a week of live streams to recognize and celebrate connections. The connections we make have a huge impact on our journeys, and this event brings people together from around the world to recognize and celebrate existing connections, as well as an opportunity to create new ones. Welcome to day 3 of the Sunshine Summit. It's amazing to be here doing this, and thank you to everyone who is in the live chat. It is a live event. You can see us at sunshinesummit.live. We are broadcasting with twitch.tv/sunpowerpod. Give the channel a follow and it will help notify you when we are going live. But if you miss us live, don't worry. You can catch the replays and we'd definitely love for you to check them out afterwards. Our guest for this segment is someone who has been with us before. Mr. Angry Ducky, who has been on the Sunshine Summit, is an incredible connection that I have. Welcome to the Sunshine Summit, Ducky.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Nice to see you.
It's good to see you.
Nice to see you all. Nice to see you guys.
Oh, thank you for being here, Ducky. I have a friend in the stream with us here, just patiently being a good audience member. He's wearing a bow tie. He's dressed up for the occasion.
It's a very fancy duck.
Thank you.
I approve of ducks.
Good. So as I said, you've been part of the Sunshine Summit before, and that was amazing, and we shared a lot of connections, and we also had the wonderful and very special Mrs. Angry Ducky, who was with you for that stream. And she's not part of today's stream, but she is a very important connection in your life.
Oh yes, she's a very important connection. If I'm allowed to say that, she is actively being asleep right now.
Yes.
So she would have been here, but being too early in the morning doesn't sound like a good thing for Mrs. Ducky.
Okay. Well, I appreciate
Because
Sorry.
I'm used to that.
Okay.
I'm used to that stuff. But Mrs. Ducky, no, cats need a lot of sleep in their lives.
Cats do.
Ducks are alright.
Okay. Ducks, get up and waddle away.
You know, the early birds gets the world domination.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for being up early. Time zones make things a little bit tricky sometimes, but I appreciate that you're up early and here to celebrate connections with us on the March 2020 Sunshine Summit. This theme that we're going to be talking about with you, Ducky, is one of sort of more of a well-being connection. Well-being is something that's important to both of us, and it's kind of a really important topic to talk about. And one of the things that you have been doing, well, you do, is you stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Angry Ducky, and you stream games. And you recently covered in the Ducking Games podcast an episode on a game and its relation to mental health and that theme. And so for this stream today, we're going to talk about those kinds of connections. And
Yes, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. So you are very aptly dressed for the occasion for the stream today. You have a prop with you, and I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's some kind of stuff I have found somewhere in the temple of the ancient gods. Usually works magic for health and stuff. Some people call it Kedusha stuff. And the thing that is usually associated with health and commerce somehow. Guess it's like you cannot have one without another. But the most important stuff that this thing is usually associated with all kinds of health. It's associated with all kinds of medicine. This is a Roman variation because it has bird on top.
Mm-hmm. Which is very much on theme. So it's a very special one. And you actually have a connection to the topic that we're going to be talking about today in terms of well-being and mental health. And I was just wondering if you could share a little bit of what that background is.
Well, I can't say that I'm actually connected to the general well-being because I have never been a doctor or a medical worker ever in life because I'm not allowed to. I did not do any oaths to never harm people and stuff like that. I can do that. Uh, it doesn't mean I do that, but I can do that. I have the proper education in psychology and in clinical psychology, to be precise, and some education in the developmental psychology.
Yeah. But in terms of the well-being, everybody has well-being, ducks and cats included. So you have your own experience of well-being, and you have the educational experience in the clinical psychology. And recently, like I mentioned, you just covered. It was Doom, was it? No, what was the game?
No,
Sorry,
it was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice,
Hellblade. That's right.
the game that was hyped as the game about psychosis that shines a new light on the psychosis theme for all the gamers and non-gamers alike. Hmm, spoiler alert, wasn't quite like that.
Yeah. It's a really good episode, and I'd love for everyone to check it out because it's an interesting. You had an interesting take on that. Well, we're not going to talk specifically about that today, but I just want to look at the theme of gaming and well-being, and we can talk about other sorts of well-being aspects. Uh, the games that cover those kind of elements have, or can be seen to have, a very important role to play because games are incredibly immersive, and however they present the themes that they cover can have a huge impact and influence on the people playing those games and getting immersed in them.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Uh, as I said it earlier in the podcast, and as I keep saying it on and on, and I was saying it even before, uh, there is a little but important difference between movies and TV series and the games because the games are interactive experience, and being interactive experience, it's easier to show something. I mean, when you show the mental instability in movies, you cannot say you quite feel that. Uh, you can mm, empathize with the character, feeling that that's the best you can do. But if you don't want to, you generally don't empathize. But if you play the game, you are more prone to place yourself in a place of the protagonist. I mean, if you feel like it's very hard to move forward, usually it means that it's hard to move forward not just for you, but for your protagonist as well. So, I mean, it means that you can actually feel more stuff. Like if something is happening, like in video game, you are being shown that you are out of control of the current situation. It is much easier for you to experience that in the interactive medium.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that games have a responsibility on how they portray the themes because of that response, or how involved it is for the person playing the game?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Uh, responsibility of games is a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, no, well, sometimes the games could be held responsible for a lot of things, but really, I don't know. I can't say that games are responsible for portraying the thing. I would suppose that if the game is telling everybody that we are here to show you the mental issues, they take their responsibility. But if the game is telling like, oh, we have mad people who are chasing you with the chainsaws, like, yeah, it's irresponsible, but some movies are there just
Mm.
to consume popcorn and have a good time. So why cannot games be there as well?
Yeah. There are that escapism element, like it's something to do and interact with, and people can get heavily invested in it, not just in the themes of it, but in their progress that they make as they go along. And actually, gaming can have an impact on your well-being. And I know Epic Film Guys Nick is in the chat, and he has been streaming Minecraft lately. And a lot of people play like a game like Minecraft because it's quite a chill, can be a chill game to play. That's relaxing and enjoyable, and has good positive things that lift them up, I suppose. And it's interactive too. There are games where you can co-op play, and it brings that social element in. So there are different ways that games can actually be a positive thing for your well-being as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With that, I always said it's better to, well, when you feel, well, let us say we all have been in the situation where we would rather hit somebody in the face rather than explain for the 19th time why it is not good to do something badly. Oh, after all, games can do it, can channel those feelings much better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the Minecraft is a really good getaway place because you can do whatever you feel like. You can, if you don't feel like building anything, you can just go on the exploration and still feel some accomplishment because there is a lot of stuff to explore. Or if you feel like just building something, digging deep into the caverns and build a catacomb that will put a shame to Paris catacombs, you can still do that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an outlet. It's a channel to have all kinds of feelings.
definitely. Nick said Minecraft is really such a great outlet for him. Uh, Mentally right now,
Yes.
it allows him to be creative, relax, and just forget about the outside world. And there are incredible things and mechanics in games sometimes, like with Minecraft, you can build functioning things that are incredible, or the catacombs, like amazing
Yes.
structures, and you put a lot of time and effort into that, and hopefully the game saves, right? Because that can that can be a little bit soul crushing if the autosave doesn't work in a game, and you've invested a lot of time there. But I know that over
Yeah.
time, in different things, gaming gets a little bit of a flack from certain groups because, it does take up a lot of time and people can get so invested in it and spend whatever. But I've listened to a few different talks on it, TED Talks and other things, and I'm really intrigued. And I've found myself too that the element of the stuff when it does lift us up and it does explore things, or it's just relaxing or what have you. Um, but not to sort of just all the negative stuff that gaming gets, because it has such a positive thing towards it. You think about all the gaming communities that are out there and how that brings people together, and people get such a connection with other people who play similar games, and people who stream them on Twitch, and they have people come by their live chat and hang out with them to play. I know there's you know amazing communities that come out of gameplay as well.
That is so great. I mean, the communities,
Yeah,
and that people are coming together. Although some communities are better than the others.
that's true. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Minecraft community is one of the better ones, as well as some other various games. Uh, yeah, but I mean, games have been talked about a lot. Mostly, it's fine for older people to grump at video games because they don't know what's happening with the games. They're usually like, "Oh, you're playing your Minecraft, you're killing people and disrespecting every elder in the world." Grump, grump, grump. Uh, that's all right. That's fine. It happens sometimes. But the most important part is that some games do have very bad influence on mental stability, and it's a good thing that those elder grumps have no idea what they're talking about, and they have no idea where to strike to make it harder. Like there are communities like League of Legends and Dota 2, where mm, I mean, if you feel too good, like you're feeling that everything is going your way, and you need to have something uh, bad, something toxic happen in your life, you can just hop in the game of League of Legends, and people will say like, "You suck at life." Okay, you got what you wanted.
Bring you back down to earth. Lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, hi Rags.
Hi, Rags.
Sorry.
No, that's awesome. Welcome to the stream, Rags. I'm glad you could make it live. Rags has been a feature of day 3 of the Sunshine Summit. He's been an interconnected connection to the podcasters community, to you, and to Blue Betty or Betty. So
Betty.
Betty Hype, and Betty Hype.
I'm
Waves in
waving.
Australian. There you go.
I'm waving. I'm
Yeah.
waving at you. You cannot see that, but I'm waving. I'm totally waving.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, there are things that can bring you down with it, but
Absolutely.
yeah, it's important to have those discussions around it too, and it's always important to keep things in check and to have the people who will make you look at the possibly negative aspects and elements of things so that it can keep in check how games develop and where they go in that, but also that we, like you, build a community that's great and there for you, and they enjoy your streams. And just recently, one of your I want to say this out of turn, but Largo is a bigger connection for you, and you are for him, I believe. And he's in the chat, or was in the
Yes.
chat. And you got to
Jeez.
hang out recently in a game and play games.
Yeah. Larko is the best blob. He actually appeared. Well, yesterday I was trying to stream, but my crappy lappy didn't do well with that, so we just hopped in a VC and played. I think it was 2 hours of Jackbox.
That's awesome.
That was a perfect escapism.
Yeah.
We had a very good time. We didn't feel even the time passing
Pass.
by. It was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, it's already 2 hours past. Oops.
But that's cool. That's that you had that time together, and you would have had you made a lot of memories and had laughs and
Absolutely.
chatted and joked and all of that good stuff. And that's that's awesome. I love that
Escaping to the game world is better done together. Yes, I agree.
yes, things are better shared. um, it's cool that those things like technology helps that happen, right? Because Jackbox can be online, and people can connect from wherever, and so you're all over the place and around the world, and you were able to get together and play games. They do that in other ways as
Absolutely.
well, on Steam. Or, I don't know, other multiplayer
Just
type
like
games.
right now, thanks to technology, we're talking to you on stream.
Yeah, and celebrating connections.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
With all the awesome people.
yeah. Um, so one of the other things that I was interested in is like well-being is the thing that I focus on too. I don't go into depths on mental health, I guess, because I'm not qualified in it at all. I've well-being is something that I have to work on all the time, like a lot of us do.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing
Yikes.
thing. Take each day as it comes, because each day is different, and there's lots of little things that I've learned along the way, and sometimes I don't have good days and I have really dark times, and I just want to say that you have been a huge light in my life, Ducky. You're someone who I've had the privilege of having a really close connection with, that you're supportive and there for me just whenever. And it can be as simple as just waving, like the duck wave emote, if anyone has that and wants to throw a million of those in the chat. That would be awesome. But, you know, just something little. Thank you. It means a lot, and you've like been very supportive, and I really appreciate having you as a very close connection.
I can only say no you.
No, you. Yeah,
I
Laco
mean, it's
agrees.
likewise. When things weren't going the best for me, you were always there, just as I've been for you. So it goes mutual.
That's good.
Thank you just as much.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
I remember that.
good.
Anytime.
Anytime. Unless I'm actually asleep one time, which doesn't happen often, but you know, sometimes I do sleep. Laco said, Ducky is the best duck in the entire universe. And Mr. Unchosen, thank you for the duck waves. And yeah,
Yes, and Mr. Unchosen is also one of the best people.
cool.
And Larko is the best blob.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bender is here,
Yay.
electrocuted by the duck. Okay.
That's an
Okay.
electrifying connection. Look at that.
It
So,
is electrifying connection. So speaking about mental health being and mental well-being and mental health thing, I can't say a lot of people know what to do about that, and it is quite a shame.
mm-hmm.
I mean, when I came to the university, in my university, mm, one of the professors told us it wasn't on the earlier stages of the learning. It was somewhere in the third year of education. One of the professors, like in front of the very huge audience, he was like, "You know why are you here?" And we were like, "What do you mean? You know why are we here? We're here to get educated." I was like, "No, no, no, no. I mean, why you're really here? Why you chose the specialty of psychology?" Like, no, that's interesting. Please enlighten us. He was like, well, most of you are here because therapy is an expensive thing and you are expecting to learn something about yourself and something about self help. And that's it. Most of you will just end at there. But some of you are really, really engaged into helping other people. You're like portable Jesuses who doesn't live a day without helping anyone. Oh, yeah, and some of you are just continuing the legacy of their parents. And we were like, damn, he got us. He got us there.
Whoa.
I mean, the idea of that whole thing of the professor, well, he actually got a lot of people right.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, people go into get more educated at psychology and stuff like that, just to understand themselves better.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of bummer that people cannot just go somewhere and say, you know what? I have a strange feeling that I cannot understand what's going to happen to me tomorrow because I cannot understand why am I acting like that today,
Yeah.
and just get some straightaway answers. I
Yeah.
mean, usually there are no straightaway answers, but sometimes, I would even say most of the times, if the person is coming to you with a question, with some defined question, like person is saying like, I have those emotions I cannot control, I don't know why they're happening, they are becoming harder and harder to control. Usually it's something that person is ready to do something about that,
Mm-hmm.
and they just need some more education about stuff. Usually it's like, oh, you know, those emotions usually happen when you try to suppress them at several times and you don't have any channel to vent those emotions off. And the person will be like, Interesting. What's the venting off?
Mm.
You tell what kind of venting off, and they're like, yeah, I can get behind that, thank you. And usually it's like that. It's a lot of times like that. It's rarely a person just comes over and, you know, it all started when my mother was the object of my fantasies,
Mm-hmm.
like Freud did.
Yeah.
No, it's rarely like that. It's no, no, no.
But
Most of the
starting
time, people are reasonable.
but starting with something and just having a person to go to have that conversation, to then have them point out something so that they can consider that and take it forward and move through that, or take that on and use it. And you're saying that people don't have access to that?
Yep,
Yeah.
because you can go to a person and
Mm-hmm.
say like, dude, I have a problem. I have those emotions. I want to hit somebody in the face. And they're like, well, you need to hit somebody. They cannot do much stuff really about that. But if you have education, you can say something proper.
Yeah.
Like, dude, channel those emotions. I don't know, play a game, maybe run a few circles, channel them somehow. And that's a bit of a more educated response. Not a lot of people get that.
No. And that's really hard, you know. And then the people who don't get that, it makes the process of going through all of that a lot harder and longer. And uh, it's a huge challenge. I actually have a story from quite a few years ago now. Like before I did this whole thing and before I lived off the grid, I was in a job that was quite stressful. But then that seems to be the theme of all of my jobs. But it was
Oh,
particularly stressful. I also had a particularly stressful living situation at the time, which doesn't help when you're not surrounded by supportive people that are just immediately around you, to have those people to talk to right there in your home life. And then I actually got ill. My body got physically ill from all of the not good things that were happening. So I went to the doctor. They recommended I go talk to someone. So I went to talk to someone. And I think I overwhelmed the person that I went to talk to, unfortunately. However, because I've had a thing, I, I don't know, but my personality is one of like, for the most part, quite optimistic, but it comes from a place of wanting people to like me. There's a whole thing about it, but just like, so there's that, and then well-being's been important to me because I've struggled with it a lot. And then I've realized I've done other educational things and realized that when I learn new tools and I have access to those that I can draw on, it does help you move forward. And so I got even more interested in the well-being topics. And I think I would like to do some more proper formal study, because I often am stuck with how to help people, which hurts because I want to help people more. And I don't have the words to say. All I can have is like a big heart of empathy, like Heather Hearts, sometimes, because I just don't have the terminology or the way of describing things, or just even thinking outside the box that you would have. But going to see this person when I was that ill and not well, I just let it out. So I actually told someone my story, and that was enough for me at that point, which was lucky. And it helped move me forward then. And then my life kind of went on a different trajectory. And I have really dark moments, even now. Anyway, and so that's what I was saying before about you being a close connection that I have, and I think it's incredible that you've got the experience that you have, because you have an amazing way of saying things, the right things or good things or just helpful things or just emotes. Emotes are great. They say a lot of things without saying anything at all. That, you know,
especially that electrocuting duck.
yeah.
It says a lot.
Wow. Yeah. So I agree. I think that people don't have access to that enough, and there's a lot of struggle and a lot of pain in the world, and that really hurts me. I know it's never a good thing when I'm going through that, and I don't like that for anyone else. And you were saying about the teacher and why do you get into well-being kind of things. For me, it was partly, though, to deal with my own stuff, to help me try and get the tools so that I could work on something. I like being creative. Having something to do gives me motivation, gives me energy, gives me drive, and keeps me going forward. When I don't have something to look forward to, even, I can slip backwards really fast. That's why I celebrate all the little things like Pi Day in March and St. Patrick's Day, or anything small thing. I kind of grasp onto stuff like that, because why not make it a celebration and make it fun, and being part of your streams as often as I can, and anyone else.
Yay!
Yay!
And the big things like your podversary, the anniversary of Twitch streaming, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Big things.
Big things. and gift subs, which are happening in the chat. Thank you so much for those. Gosh, I appreciate
All the
you.
subs.
All the subs. That's incredible. Thank you so much. So I went to a talk about well-being, and the lady there said about giving everyone flippers, which are the things you put on your feet to help you kick up to the surface. And that's what people need access to, is flippers to help keep their head afloat, like keep them, I think.
Yeah. That kind of a good thing. Like it's usually... I mean, I like the metaphor. I instantly like the metaphor.
Yeah, flippers.
Yes. I instantly like the flippers metaphor because when you speak about keeping someone afloat, you can use some flotation device or give a flippers. And flotation device, it's usually what is expected of the psychology and the therapy, everything like that. That is what expected. Like there are people who expect to have some flotation device, and they're going to be passive there, like, okay, now I'm better. And there is no activity in there. But if you are expecting to have some well-being towards yourself, you need to be the one who is actively trying to do that. So the flippers are really the better option and the better metaphor, because flippers help you to stay afloat, but you need to be active for that.
Yes.
And it's quite a good metaphor, because when I learned the psychology, everybody was like saying, oh, it's the flotation device, and stuff like that. Holy hell, it's not.
No.
It's so much not.
Yeah. Thank you for the bits and
And
things. Sorry. It's not. The flip.
yeah,
There's amazing things happening in chat, and that's amazing, and we'll celebrate you all in a second. So much excitement going
amazing
on.
and crazy stuff.
Hype trains and
Hype train.
all the connections going on there. Thank you so much for all the gift subs. I really appreciate it. Woo. Being active, super important. Flippers, that is an active thing that you do and you have control over and you are involved in, not something being done to you or, what have you. And
Yeah, like you did. You just actively went out and told somebody what's going to happen. Like you made a self-help therapy, the basic, but it worked. So you were active. You were not sitting there waiting like, okay, where is that therapist who will come here, give me a magical pill, and I'm somehow suddenly better.
though,
And right now, celebrating little things like a Pi Day and the big things like connections, you're being active all the way.
yeah. And like I was saying to Betty earlier, doing those things helps lift me up and get me out of the dark places too. And it's that active thing. It's one of the ways that I cope and move forward. Like I can be in the dark and I can be there for a really long time, and I haven't actually gone down the route of medication to help me. But sometimes I think it would be a good thing because it would help me bounce back faster. I've had other medication though that will drag me backwards, which has been a huge, a huge challenge. When I was in high school, particularly, I had acne medication because I had horrific hormonal acne, which was very crushing to my self-esteem anyway, and didn't make me feel good at all. So I went on medication, but that dragged me to the black abyss, and I didn't really want to be here anymore. But we got through that year, so that was lucky. So yeah, it's
And
just
now you are just able to move to Nether Heather realm,
neither hither.
be the creature of darkness.
But that's what I, just on that note though, that's why my show is called Sunshine and Power Cuts, because there's the light, but there's also the dark. And I don't, there is a thing called toxic positivity, and I'm not sure what you think about that,
Yes.
but I would love to know what you do think about that, because it's, I want to talk about it. Yeah.
Okay. The toxic positivity, we actually had some, I can say it was extensive, or by any means it was a big a lecture about interpersonal relationships, and the toxicity about it. It was more of it was more focused on stuff like being addicted to a person, because it was a part of addictology course. But the toxic positivity was one of the parts of that. Like there is a toxic negativity and there is a toxic positivity, and usually everybody can identify toxic negativity at the first glance. It's a no-brainer. If you say like, "Hey, look at the sun," and the guy's like, "Yeah, it's gonna destroy us in several million worlds. Yeah, nothing's happening good." So, nah, not a good thing.
No.
Everybody knows that. But the toxic positivity is harder to pin down,
Mm-hmm.
because uh, it's not always toxic when people are trying to do some stuff like, mm, you're saying that you have some problems, and a person around you, some person around you saying like, hey, just look at the bright side of life. You can never guess if that is a toxic positivity, like the person is hell-bent on forcing everyone to be positive, or you can never tell if that's a person who were struggling with the same problem, and they now uh, try to stay away just to stay in their happy place, because they are not actually there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you come to a person and say like, oh, I have a big problem in my life. My favorite dog died. And the person around you like, but it's in a better place. You should feel better about the dog. There is a chance that this person is dealing with a loss right now, and you cannot claim that, oh, you're being a toxic positive guy. No, it doesn't work like that. You cannot claim toxic positivity on somebody. It could be a coping mechanism. Usually, toxic positivity comes from bad coping mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
and the bad coping mechanism, our professor called um, hell, I cannot remember that. Ostrich effect. Yeah, that was that's what he called. Although we all know that ostriches do not bury their head in sand,
Yeah.
but the professor, he just said, well, everybody learned that at some point. So when you just bury your head and like, la 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 la, la, only sunshine and ponies are around me, rainbows, ponies, sunshines, leprechauns, only that, nothing else I want to hear about. That is a coping mechanism, and for some time, it could even work
Mm-hmm.
at the crisis times. when you have something happening, something bad, you're going through your bad situation, and there is another bad situation. You can play an ostrich and like, I don't want to hear about that until I deal with this current situation. And it becomes toxic after you decide, like, I don't want to deal with that, but also I don't want to deal with the situation I'm in right now, because everything should be awesome.
Just on that note, the Lego movie and there was a sequel to that, and then there was a song "Everything's Not Awesome," but I loved that song because it had like, even though things aren't awesome, kind of how to lift yourself up out of it. I can't believe
Yeah,
I brought in the Lego movie and stuff. I'm sorry, but it is because the everything is awesome is kind of almost a toxic positivity song.
it is.
Yeah,
It is. It
it is.
forces you to, well, everything that forces you to suppress your current feelings and move to the worldview you are offered
Mm-hmm.
could be held to a standard of being toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Like there could be even toxic normality, I think. We didn't come to that yet, but I suppose why not?
Yeah. So do
I
you?
mean, when you appear somewhere like, I feel great, and a person like, no, this is not right. Feeling great is not normal for a person because there are a lot of bad stuff happening. Somebody is having, I feel down. It's like, look in the bright side of life. Being down is not okay. Maybe.
uh, just going to Rags's comment. You're saying everything isn't cool when you're part of a team. Everything's cool when you're part of a team. Teams they have their own challenges being a part of a team, team dynamics and stuff. But it is like we said earlier about the gaming and stuff, and sharing those experiences with people. There are great elements of being a team.
Oh, yeah.
I just liked that in the Lego Movie one that they did have the alternative song because everything wasn't awesome. I just thought I'd bring that up.
Yikes.
Oh,
Everything wasn't awesome.
but they turned that around and made it still positive, which was awesome because everything is awesome. I'm sorry.
Everything became awesome.
It did become awesome. Yeah. That's incredible. I think that today, I'm really grateful that we've been able to have this discussion today, Ducky. I loved that you covered this theme in the podcast, Duck and Games, because gaming is a huge thing for a lot of people, and themes that play out in games are important. Wellbeing, mental health is very important for us all. We all have different things. Now, but going back to the flippers, some of us have flippers, some of us don't. We all have a different buoyancy, and I didn't make that up. I heard this at that talk where she brought up the flippers as the aid, and I just love that. You know, we all have a different. Some of us can bounce back up to the surface and float quicker than others. But getting people those tools and the flippers to help do that is incredible, and something that I want to be a part of in whichever small way I can. And I would love in the future to hear your take on other games and that theme or other themes like that, because I think you do a really good job of bringing in your experience and sharing that through what you do.
Thank you. Speaking about flippers,
Yes,
I just remembered. I have them always.
you do.
And
And
they
ducks,
can float.
yeah, they can. Ducks are quite buoyant.
Yes.
They bounce back.
Although I can still dive.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Being
Okay,
duck is awesome. I
good.
highly recommend 10 out of 10. I would do that again.
If only we had a bot in the chat and rate. Like, rate. We don't need to do that because we know it's 10 out of the 10 anyway.
Yeah, solid 5 out of 7.
Oh, funny. Um, are there any other things that you wanted to share today while we're here, or celebrate any of the people who have been in the the live chat or any important connections that you have, Ducky?
Well, you mean more important than connection with you and the podcast server, which was actually a gateway into everything I do right now. Hmm,
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
that's huge, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely enormous. Wouldn't be starting, mm, wouldn't be doing anything basically. Since when I found the podcastage, I started doing a lot of stuff, and I started doing a lot of stuff differently because people are there and people give their feedback and their support. And oh boy, the first streams I ever had, I was a very scary duck, you know. It was like, all right, how are we doing right now? Right now, I'm more confident thanks to all the supportive people out there, especially you, Heather.
Aw.
You were always supportive, even uh, when I was in a dark place and I was like, I don't feel like I can do that. Like, what? No, you can. Like, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
I believe in you, Ducky, and it's awesome to have been on this journey with you. I've been there from uh, from when you joined Podcastage, probably, but for
Yes.
a long time, and just seeing how Duck and Games has evolved, and your streams, and because you were doing some stuff for YouTube, and you've sort of transitioned to the Twitch thing. Um,
Yeah, because it brings less trauma to self-esteem.
Cool. Well, it's like a journey, right? And you learn different things, and you like figure out what works and what doesn't. And this is working, and it's a great thing that you're doing. And I support all of the things that you do. Thank you for supporting all the things that I do. Thank you for being a patron of Sunshine and Power Guts. Thank you for being a guest on the Sunshine Summit twice now.
It's
And
always my pleasure. Let's make it 3 times at some point.
Does anyone in the chat who is here have any questions or anything that they want to share? I probably have missed any questions that have been in the chat because a lot of awesome things happened there today. Sorry about that. Thank you very much for the bits that happened, and
Yeah.
Quack from Car Ramrod.
Quack.
Quack.
Indeed, quack.
Quack. Quack, quack, and quack.
Question for me. Do I like blobs? Yes, Larko, blobs are awesome. And you are the best of the blob. Best of the blobs. Yikes.
Rags agreed. For real, Podcastage was a gateway for so many of us. It's been
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
That's such a great community.
Yeah.
Though when I joined, I was mostly lurking.
I think though about that, I sort of not haven't really gone on this, but like looking is a way of finding out whether a place is going to be something for you, and that's important. And I know that we talked about with Betty, like welcoming everybody, and that's amazing. And I love that communities do that, especially the podcasted one, and her that she does that in all the communities that she's in, because it's amazing to make people know that you see them and you warmly and genuinely welcome them. And that is a little bit much for some people, right? And some people just want to lurk, and it's about figuring out whether you want to be in that place and whether it's going to fit with you. And so lurking is good, as well. There's creepy lurking too, but we're not going to go there for the stream, if that's all right.
To be honest, I don't really know if lurking works to define if the community is good for you or not, because when you appear in the community, you can only see the interaction between people, and some people have different interactions between each other than they would have between them and you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I came to podcastage, I was lurking mostly because I wasn't sure my English is good. I wasn't sure I was even wanted there. I didn't have any valuable input there, so I have no idea if I was fit for the community. It was more of that. But it appears that the community is welcoming. So I'm like, yay, nice.
Okay.
So now I'm more trying to be, like to feel the community. If it's a good one, if it's the one I should be in, or the one I should lurk in. It's usually starting with appearing in the community, chatting for some time, getting some feedback if people there are generally interested in duck input or like that. And if they're not quite interested, I'm fine lurking. I like lurking.
Yeah.
I enjoy people's
That,
interactions.
yeah. That's good. You raised some valid points there too, and you're going to experience the community if you're a part of it as well. Um, and you know how you just go to someone, you can tell straight off by just how they are, by looking, that they might not or may be awesome, or you might just have to build up a little bit of confidence, and then you see that they are so welcoming, so that prompts you to engage, and then you'll have a whole other experience by being a part of that community. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Rag said,
I'm usually remembering how Reg's community is working. It's absolutely loving community, but they can be so toxic to each other. I love it.
different dynamics, right? And
Yeah,
yeah, different communities have different dynamics and they work well in different places, in different settings, and with different groups of people. And that's what's amazing, is that there can be a place that might suit you somewhere. You know, there is a place for everyone. And everyone matters. I mean, you've talked to Kate from Ignorance was Bliss, and that's her motto: is everyone, like, you matter. And I think that's an important takeaway as well for today. It just seems to fit.
absolutely.
Uh,
I agree. Uh, you have to remember that, actively remember that.
I know, I know. When you get to the dark place, it's really hard to remember that. Absolutely. But it's true.
Big bummer to remember that.
Yeah. But um, together we can shine bright and light up the world, is something I like to say. And when people just reach out or come by and hang out in the chat or your chat, or someone welcomes you into a Discord server or something, there's someone shining their little light, and it'll help maybe light you up too. There's all little things along the way that we can do. Yeah.
And we have to actively remember that every one of us that have to actively remember that you, yes, you who listening to that, you are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You matter. Don't forget about that. Don't make me come and repeat that. You matter.
The duck has spoken.
Yes. I
On
have
the
caduceus. I can say stuff like that.
On that note, for anyone who doesn't already, but there have been a lot of amazing people here today who have who already follow and support you. But for anyone watching the replay or who's been in the chat and lurking, welcome. I hope that you've enjoyed today. It's been incredibly valuable. I appreciate everybody's time. You do all matter, and we would love for you to check out more of what Mr. Angry Ducky does. You can follow him on twitch.tv/Mr. Angry Ducky or at duckrossi.com to see all the things that he does, and check out the Duck and Games podcast.
Ooh. That's a long podcastage.
It really is. Oh, Larko gave you the domain suggestion. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yay.
The domain was the Larko's idea. Bad Blob knows the stuff.
He does. Absolutely.
I think it was maybe even 2 years ago when Larko suggested that I should buy out the duckrossi.com. Great domain name. Best purchase ever.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you got it and secured it and you have your home for all of the things there. I love the whole element of that. And I think I talked about that briefly in the other summit, but I will repeat it here, that I love that you have the theme that you have and the ducks and being afloat. And we're going to go with the flippers and for people to take that away from today as well.
Yes, and don't forget to be yellow and fluffy.
Yellow and fluffy. Cool. Is there anything you want to wrap up with before we go?
That's an important stuff. I don't know. I can always say some general stuff like, don't forget to appreciate video games in your life.
Mm-hmm.
They also matter. Not as much as you do, but they also matter. And don't forget to appreciate the podcasts in your life, because podcasts can give you crazy ideas like love yourself, care about yourself, play games, and stuff like that. Crazy ideas, I know.
That's awesome. And there was someone else who said they had to step away for family stuff. Also, remember about the people in your life who are there. Remember to be there and in the moment with them too. You know. Yeah. And if it's not them, if you don't have people there, then the ones that you have on the online communities as well, like we do. They're all amazing. Thank you so much to everyone who has been here today. Thank you very much, Ducky, for being here.
No, you. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got our special thanks for today. A huge thank you for an epic stream. Thank you all so much for coming to support Ducky and myself and to be here to celebrate connections for the Sunshine Summit. We are stars today. Thank you for supporting the stream. We had some bits that were cheered. They had lovely notification sounds. That was amazing. Eldest Bro, Bandrew from Podcastage, and Rags from Can't Stand Up Comedy. Thank you. Our moderators, Darkness Monster, Nick from Epic Film Guys, Larko, Luku's Live, Mr. Angry Ducky, Bandrew from Podcastage, The Eldest Bro, and Tim Gabur. Subs, Helena, Backspasma, Fuel 103, Annalise, Mr. Angry Ducky, Luminix, Pine Links, Ramrod, Can't Stand Up Comedy, Mr. Unchosen, Memeage, Bulldozer, Melvix, Beardrew Cannon, Mexico, Ultra Dream Girl, which I think is Nerd. And I think there was one other that I missed. I'm sorry, we can roll that through again because it was just so many. One more time for good luck. Thank you for an epic stream, everybody. Thank you, Ducky. Jan Ray Loon, I think was the one that I mixed in Pine Links. Thank you so much, everybody. Mr. Unchosen, Memeage, Bulldozer, Malvex, Peter Cannon. You're all awesome. And like I always enjoy to say, and I do hope you do, until next time, be empowered by nature.